Live now.
All right, we are live. Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back. Happy New Year. And there's no one here.
Everybody, yeah, I don't think there's anyone here.
Yeah, if you got anything important to say.
Oh, yeah, they're here. Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome back. Reseller Therapy. Brad's, hey, the new year has started off right. Brad's having internet trouble in the little room he's in right there. Corey is packing, and I'm sitting here looking at my Facebook page.
I'm almost done packing. I just got to finish this one, and then I'll be done making the noise.
Yeah.
Didn't start early enough today. We had to wait to get our eggs and toast in.
Get your eggs and what?
Eggs and toast. Our lunch.
Oh. Well, look, here's my lunch right here. Eating a cookie. What the heck is going on up here in this monkey cage? Right. Brad just left. John, welcome in. Hello, how are you today, John?
Jordan's here. We got all the good people back.
No, so this is all the important ones. So this is my lunch. So John, I think I sent you another invite to my other. Oh, excuse me. John and I've been coercing this week.
Uh-oh.
On Facebook.
Meeting our minds?
On Facebook.
That sounds like trouble. John's killing it on Facebook. John does,
I know.
he does good over there.
He's absolutely killing it.
I just can't bring myself to invest the time. Like, I know the kind of posts to make now, and part of that's just watching John and some of the other people doing it. It's just, it does take time, and I have a hard time committing time to it.
Well, I was trying to do that. John even talked to me about some things to do with it, how to use some a plan on how to do it. But I'm not going to lie, John. I'm not going to lie. I gave up on that Facebook page. I deleted it, and I started a new one, and it's actually called Life at the Barn, and it's evolved around not just reselling, but things that happen to me during the day, and like we talked about fixing the vehicle and stuff like that, so.
Oh, give it a week, you'll be on to something else.
Probably. You never know.
I think you got as bad ADHD as I do. Maybe worse.
Right. Kat, welcome in. Good to see you. Long time no see. Yeah, a couple hours. Kat. Yes, I will, John. I will shoot you a link, brother. I will say this. Look, John, I created it, and one day I've got 33 followers, so it did a lot better than the other one. It's already doing better than the other one.
I see John's Facebook stuff coming up in my feed all the time. He does pretty decent content over there. Like, he's putting some effort into it, you can tell.
Yeah. Poor Brad. He's frozen again.
Well, I don't know what to do. It's that southern internet.
Yeah, Brad, you're going to have to go to work.
You're going to have to go to work.
You're going to have to go out in your work barn, brother, and just work. He's shaking his head no. All right, your eyes are moving. That means you're not frozen no more.
Yeah, so I'm only hearing about every 7th or 8th word, probably.
Oh, you don't want to miss this. We're gonna start the gossip. Okay, yeah, we hear you.
Yeah, hear you now. Good.
On who?
On you.
I think you must have a lag.
Okay. About what?
Did you guys watch the Trash to Cash with Lonnie this morning?
No.
It was excellent.
I took some time to watch it. There was one part in there that I thought merited more discussion. I'm not sure I agree with him on it. I thought it was coming from a point of view that was much different than most people. And that's the part where they talked about whether or not you could do full-time retailing. Did you catch that part?
Poor Brad.
I think we lost Brad again.
Yeah, Brad, all the people out in your workspace is sucking up all your internet. I believe that's what it is. No, I didn't watch. I didn't watch Pastor Cast this morning. I actually had a Whatnot show this morning.
Did you guys in the chat watch this morning? Did you catch that episode, that part?
Kat said, amazing how often he and Kevin tried to be serious.
Yeah, it doesn't work there. That doesn't work over there.
Doesn't work really good at all.
I knew that going in. I mean,
Right.
You're never going to get a really serious show with Dave on there. It's not going to happen.
No, Rad, I did not, John. Did not do good at all. So, live selling is for some people and some people is not.
That's what I like to hear, Jordan. He was watching it when this started, so he paused it.
Thanks, Todd. Appreciate
That's
that.
Priorities right there.
Upstate figure. I started watching the podcast, but then ADHD.
Well, that was Todd that said that. Thank you, Todd. No, they started talking about whether or not full-time reselling as a full-time income was something that was doable. And
right.
And I think I don't disagree with what they said. It's hard. That's what they said. It's hard, and 90% of people will struggle with it. And I don't disagree with that, but I think that applies to any business. I don't care what it is. Even if you're scooping poop for pets, that's hard to make a living. Like, no matter what the business model is. But I thought they approached it more from the they're approaching it. The ones answering it were answering it from a seat of having a content empire funding their full-time selling, to where, yeah, I suppose that doesn't look like a very easy thing to do when you're making 3 times the amount with your content. So that was kind of what I took away from it. So what do you think about that? Is full-time reselling, is that a possibility, and how difficult is it?
I do have something to say about that. Go ahead, Brad. You go ahead first, because my mom just called. I need to text me.
Go ahead. He hasn't been here.
Yeah, what we're talking about. I reconnected. I just decided to go.
Nope.
No, you cut out a little bit, but I get the gist of what you were saying.
I think so for you guys, and I'm sure Brad also. The full-time deal works really, really well for y'all. Like, my whole thing is I'm full-time. I have this is my full-time job. It's my only job, but I make part-time pay. Now, whose fault is that? Is that eBay's fault or is that Chris's fault? Well, it's Teresa's answering for me, isn't she?
He is.
It's my fault because, so with you and Brad, y'all give it 110%. I would say, that's what I think. That's what I see, and I see the productivity from it. Me, on the other hand,
10%.
I would say a little more than that. It boils down to you're going to get out of it what you put into it, and that's just the bottom line. I'm like, I've been off. I haven't worked reselling wise in 2 weeks. I haven't done anything reselling in 2 weeks other than packages. The items are sold. Now, if you ask me how that sales went, it wasn't good, I mean, it wasn't, but it was 2 weeks, Christmas time, the week of Christmas. I cut it off.
Cliff says, good morning.
Good morning, Pat.
And I didn't work. Yesterday was my first day back to work, really, in 2 weeks. So
I think part of the conversation that perked my ears up a little bit was kind of, it made me, and Jordan made a comment in here too that kind of solidified that. Everybody's situation is different. If he had kids, he probably wouldn't do this full time. They have content creation, which is what they do full time, and the reselling is what they make content about. And they're kind of approaching that question from that perspective. We have a different situation. You have a different situation. Brad does. Everybody's situation is different, but I think what Kat said is absolutely right. I don't think it's about reselling. I think it has nothing to do with reselling. Can you make a full-time living doing anything on your own? Reselling is just one thing you can do. And I don't think the answer is that it's any harder than anything else. I don't think it matters what you do. You'll get out of it what you put into it. And I think they missed that point on the podcast.
I think you can make a living doing it. I do.
Well, I know you can. We do.
If I believe that's the only reason I'm doing it, even though my situation is different than everybody else's and I struggle with it, but we still pay our bills. Sometimes it's rough, but we still pay our bills. But when it comes down to it, I think anyone, like if Joe Blow off the street decides, hey, I want to resell, or let's just say a kid fresh out of high school, let's just use that. Can he make a living reselling? I believe he can.
I think anyone can. I think I mentioned in our phone call the other day, I said something, and it sounds bad, and I know it sounds bad. It's not meant in a bad way. I think reselling is one of the lowest IQ entry points to owning a business that is out there. I think it's something that literally any human being that their body works in. I think anybody that can move and do things can do this, and whether they turn that into a full-time living just depends on how much work they want to put into it. But we make about $200 a month on average on our content. Sometimes if we have a good month, it goes to $300. Reselling is what we make a living on, but I really think reselling is the bottom. Like I don't think you even have to be particularly smart or a hard worker to do this as a living.
No, you just got to be able to look up stuff on eBay and see if it sells. Brad, what's your opinion on it?
I don't even know what we're talking about. What I missed?
Everything. You missed everything. You have to catch the replay.
Okay. Fair enough.
But
we're talking about something that was brought up on the trash morning with Lonnie on there. They were talking about whether it was possible to do reselling as a full-time income, and they were kind of addressing it from a content creator's perspective.
Yeah.
Because that's who they are. That is their perspective. And I think they missed the mark a little bit. So we were just talking about that.
Yeah, I saw that was towards the end of their conversation today. And yeah, I disagree too. I think like all of those guys, from what I remember, Lonnie's take was that when you go from part-time to full-time, you probably shouldn't think that because you're now doubling your output or tripling your output that your income is going to triple. And so, yeah, that's a valid point. But then also just tagging on the end of what you guys were saying there, if you weren't focused on content and you were just focused on reselling and you had good practices, as far as, I know Kevin was talking about. No, this is actually probably his other video from maybe yesterday. You've got good practices as far as putting some funds back, putting some capital back, and so you're not taking everything out of the business, but you're also growing the business. If you got like things like that in place and you can be disciplined and stuff like that, then absolutely.
I swear we as resellers in the content creation realm all share a brain. That's part of what I mean by it's like the simplest form of business is it's a very uncomplicated thing. It's a very simplified thing. And when we're making videos, we just literally made a video about that yesterday, that's coming out tomorrow. That's about building your capital and kind of, well, it's more about protecting your margins in the business. But one main section of it is, protecting that capital once you start building it and stuff like that. And it's funny to hear I just did a video on it because it seems like it happens every time.
Yeah. If you take business classes and stuff, the term they'll probably use is retained earnings. You got to have some retained earnings, or if you don't, you're not going to last very long.
You do, but I think our angle on that was more in the beginning. We were kind of buying everything, but we were paying for a tuition a little bit. We were learning, so we were doing dumb stuff with our capital. And now that we have a nest egg built up, like if a semi-load of Star Wars came up tomorrow, we can afford to go buy the semi-load of Star Wars. Like we would go do that, but we're much more protective of each dollar now that we have it than we were when we didn't have it, which is kind of an oxymoron, but it's kind of the way it worked for us. Now that we have the money, we're more protective of it. We spend it more wisely.
Yeah. I think that's true, even just in your personal finances. When you have more, people who have more tend to be a little more. I don't know if it's one of those chicken and the eggs things, which came first, but I know the more you have, the more cognizant you are aware of it you are. So you tend to be a little better with it. So,
but I
think that bleeds in a lot of ways.
If you spend your, if you spend your capital, I guess you would say your money or whatever that you have allotted for sourcing on bad items, though, you're not gonna, you're not gonna have the capital to continue to do that. That's where the biggest draw is can people, like you say, can people make a living? Yes, they can make a living if they're getting good items. If they're just buying.
I don't agree with that because I think you can make a living and be shit at this.
Well, look at all
I think you can. We were shit at this for over a year. We sucked at it because we didn't know what the hell we were doing.
Right.
2 out of every 3 items we bought was garbage. But you can sell garbage. It will eventually sell, even if you have to lock it up and sell it at a discount to get your money back or make a little profit. And as you're doing that, you're learning and you're getting better. I don't think the barrier to entry into this, I don't think there is one. I mean, it's like walking over a different size rock on a gravel road. There's no barrier to entry to this business. So I think you can literally be a job and make money.
But if you are crap at your job and you are buying crappy items, then your store is being oversaturated, and now you're working off of what I've always talked about, quantity of items versus sell-through rate. So let me ask you this. When you first started and you say y'all was horrible at it, was your store based off of quantity of items versus sell-through for that full year then?
Yeah, because we didn't have a store, so we were very focused on buying everything we could get our hands on that we thought had any resale value. We were very focused on building a store because we didn't. It would be like you go down and buy a brick and mortar and you want to turn that into an antique store, but you don't have any inventory. You have to fill the store first. That's kind of our mentality when we started. It's stupid. We're online. It doesn't transfer across. We didn't need to fill the store, but that's how we felt, and we did that. But to say that buying bad items would prevent you from doing this as a full-time living also assumes that you're not going to learn from your mistakes. Okay. And I think as you buy bad items, you learn from them and you get better and better.
Right.
I think there's a.
Go ahead, Brad. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I don't remember what I was going to say.
So what I'm trying to say, though, is by buying bad items, you're not
now,
selling.
Todd can do this.
You're not. Yeah, right. You're not selling a lot of items. So therefore your income that you make, if you're in a position to where you're starting this and every dime you got to take a certain percentage of the income and put it aside for your bills to pay your bills, and a certain percentage goes towards sourcing. If you're buying bad items when you're starting off because you just don't know and you're not making the income you need to make, then you're hurt. You're not going to have the income to source. So over a year's time, where are you like over a year's time, if you can't continue, are you continuing to take the whole income and putting it back into the store? Or are you having to split the income and only take 20% of that income and putting it into your store? So if you're in that situation and you're buying bad items, it's not going to work.
If you're in that situation after doing this for a year and giving it an honest effort for a year, I'm
saying to start with, if you're in a situation to where you're starting now you're starting, and this would have to be, hindsight is 2020. This is for if someone wakes up one morning and says, you know what, I'm quitting my full-time whatever job, your career, and I'm going to go resell. And they have a capital, let's say $1,000 that they have put aside. And they say, I'm going to go take this $1,000 and I'm going to buy everything I can that's going to resell. They say they buy 250 items, 300 items with that $1,000. Depending on if they know nothing about reselling, if they buy bad items that don't sell within 60 days, you're losing income there. And then your store's not building a quantity because you done spent your capital. And then you got to take part of what you sold. Then you got to take 70%, we'll say 75% of what you sold, the income from that, and put it towards your bill. And you only have 25% of the income to go source. That's not enough to actually go source your first year building the business.
I think that's a different conversation, but I'll address it anyway. I do think that's a completely separate conversation. That's getting started with, let's just say it's getting started with nothing. Mm-hmm. Like how do you build up when you're starting with nothing? And I think there's a very clear divide in people. I think there's two different kinds of people when it comes to something like this. I'm scrappy. If I want to go start reselling and I don't have $25 to go to my local thrift store and find something, I'll go mow my neighbor's yard for $25 and I'll have my $25. There's very little that prevent me from finding a $20 bill to find my next item to turn into 40. So I don't see that as a limitation that anybody has in reality. I see that as a limitation they put on themselves because some people are a little bit defeatist. They're like, well, I don't have $20. Fuck it. And some people are like, I don't have $20, but Joe does, and he's got it grown grass. Like, you'll figure out a way. It's a hustle.
Yeah.
And some people just have it.
You see, upstate. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Brad.
Yeah, I was going to say, so that actually kind of leads into what I was going to say a little bit earlier. I don't know who said it on, I think it was on that Trash to Cash podcast, but somebody was saying that, if you're going to try to do it full time, a lot of people don't even have the like personality necessarily, or the work ethic / personality to do it. I come from a family of like, on my dad's side, they're all workaholics. Everybody except for the sister of all my uncles on my dad's side, they all own businesses. My dad, he owned a business. He ran like a big factory before that. On my wife's side, they're all, her family, her grandparents, business owners. So they all have a really good work ethic. And so like the one uncle that I worked for when I was in high school that I started working for, he is probably he's the wealthiest of all the family. He's parlayed all his business stuff into real estate and all kinds of stuff like that. But he is just an instrument of blunt force trauma for I don't know how, he's probably in his late 60s now. Since he was, probably 18, he's up at 4:30 in the morning. He gets up, he gets ready. He's probably in his office working by like 5:30. And he is just like, there's the difference between him and anybody else is not talent. There's nothing special. It's not like, super great business decisions, although he's become an amazing businessman. And it's just blunt force trauma, and you're not going to outwork him. And I think if you got like that, if you got that kind of ethos, that work ethic, I think you can overcome a whole lot and get better as you go. Obviously, if you don't, but not everybody.
It took me till I was well in my 40s to realize that I'm exactly the way you're talking about with your uncle. I'm built that way, but it's not work ethic. It's not that I hate the hustle culture. I hate the act of hustling to hustle. Like
this is just who he is.
I know, and it took a while to figure out why I was that way on some things and not others. And it has nothing to do with I will outwork you. It has to do with if I'm getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning and I can't wait to get on my computer to do the work, it's because I'm excited about what I'm doing. I'm genuinely excited to get that next step done. But as soon as I get bored and I'm not excited to be doing what I'm doing, I'll notice myself start sleeping in, and I'll notice myself doing less, and I'm not outworking anybody, and I just become less productive. And then I have to find something to be excited about again. But if I'm excited, if I'm excited about a project, I mean, Teresa will attest to it. If I'm excited about a project, I'll put 18 hours a day in it. Nobody's going to outwork me, but it has nothing to do with work ethic. It's just,
that's where you and I are probably more alike than I and my uncle, or you and my uncle are alike. Like he's done
that in him too, because I saw him devour the Stranger Things episodes. He was excited to do it, so he did it in bulk.
Yeah, but this particular uncle, I'm thinking about, like, he could have retired years and years ago, but this is just who he is. Like, it's not, and there's nothing special about it. He's just the guy that keeps showing up.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people, if they just keep showing up, and then, everybody doesn't start at the same place, but everybody can grow from wherever they start. So whatever it is, whatever your starting point is, wherever your starting gate is, it's, you can get to the next, you've got to continue to grow and you'll get to the next step. But I don't know. There's so much to say about that. I'll shut up for a minute.
I do think this is a doable full-time thing for anybody that wants it to be, and everybody's full-time is different. I have to clear a lot more money to be full-time than, say, the next guy would. Like, we have 10 acres out here with a house on it, and we got new vehicles. My truck's paid off. Well, both of our vehicles are now paid off, but they weren't for a long time. Like, we have higher bills because we moved from a standard of living and owning a company and selling a business, and then sold all that and started from scratch. So we had to make enough money to support that same standard of living. So we had to ramp up. We were motivated, but I think anybody could do this, unless you're in California and you're paying $5,000 a month for an apartment, and that's before your bills start. Like, everybody's situation is different, but I do think this is doable. And if you are in California paying $5,000 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment, move.
Yeah, move. Leroy, what is your take on this? Can you? The original question was, is it feasible to make a full-time living reselling?
Drive, work ethic, determination, drive, work ethic, determination, work ethic. Stop bullshitting, pay attention, learn, fall down, get up, try again.
I think he said yes.
I think you did too. Yeah.
He said yes. I will say that almost exactly relates to the point Lonnie made, that 90% of the people can't or won't do it because it's very difficult. And he's right about that. But it has nothing to do with the business of reselling. It has nothing to do with that. It just has
to do. That was my point. Yeah.
I could literally hand 90% of the people give 100 people $1,000 and say start reselling. 90% of them will never even open their eBay store. People are just lazy by default,
Corey,
and that's just the nature of it.
Corey, you can give somebody your whole business and walk away and show them how to do it, and they still couldn't do it.
They would go bankrupt. They would lose it.
It's not can't, it's won't.
Right.
They won't take the step. And there's many reasons why they don't take the step. Some's lazy, some is they're people like Ken. I love Ken. It's SK Promo, but he's very risk adverse. So he'll analyze it down to the finite points. And then if there's anything in those steps that could go wrong, a what if, it's off the table. It can't happen. It has to be a guarantee. And there are no guarantees in your business.
Corey, what if you get one of these?
That's for sure.
What is that? A watch?
Omega.
Omega? Yeah, I'll take it. Send it over. That's a good brand.
Oh, I know. 1956 Omega. With certificate and box. Look it up.
There you go, Kat.
I know a lot of people probably feel like they're behind the 8 ball a lot of times, and always have that next, like, you know, if only, or I could if. And I think that's the kind of thing, everybody has that, but at some point you have to put that to the side. And you know, it goes back to the whole privilege argument. You know, some people do start from a more advantageous position than others. Sure. And I'm not talking about, you know, skin color or racial stuff. It's just, you know, somebody that came from a poor socioeconomic background, that had a family that was horrible with money, that had a family that didn't have any kind of ambition beyond like just working a job to get enough money and blah, blah, blah. All of those things are factor into that, but none of those things, the difference between the people who make it and the people who don't make it, it really is not those things. So
no,
yeah,
that speaks directly to how difficult it is to get started, because you have a steeper learning curve, but everybody's learning curve is achievable. Everything's figure outable.
Yep.
Todd, I think you're right in that. I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I do think, and I say this from a very high position of ignorance, because I've not done this in other states, but I can't imagine a place where you could drop me in and I would not be able to source something. If there's people there, I think I could source something. I would just have to change it. And the word reliably, nothing is reliable about the sourcing side of this business till you make it reliable. It took us 4 years to get to the point where our unreliable sourcing is where we would consider it reliable, because we've kind of figured out not to buy shit, but there's always plenty of stuff to buy.
Right.
And we maybe go 2-3 months without buying a thing, but then we buy a trailer load. So it's reliable enough at scale that it becomes reliable, I guess.
Yeah, and even when you figure it out, you know, no matter what it is, things can change. You know?
I would love to have a wholesaler where I could just buy stuff when I want it, and I could, like ordering from Amazon, I need 20 more units. Like, I would love that in a perfect world, but that's not the business we're in. Like, that doesn't exist for this, or at least the way I'm doing it currently. It doesn't exist for this. So reliable, you have to redefine that for the business we're in. Sourcing by default, the way for what we do is not a push button order from Amazon. It becomes reliable at the 90-day mark. In a 90-day period, I can get enough inventory to pay my bills for sure. I may get it all on day 89 though.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, you take a stupid example, like, you know, probably at the turn of, you know, when 1899 flipped over to 1900, probably one of the biggest modes of transportation across the continent was train travel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're the guy who's in business, you know, in the passenger train business, you know, when Greyhound comes along and can go places you don't go, and can go there quickly and cheaply compared to, you know, the logistics of train travel. It's like, you know, that same guy who is in that passenger train business can still he needs to adjust his goals to, okay, now my thing is not just getting people from here to here via rail. I need to figure out how to do that, you know, with another delivery method too. So you just got to be adaptable, and you got to change.
Or you start hauling coal or something. Like, yeah,
then that's what you do. You switch over to like, okay, now, and even then it's like, okay, well then along comes the semi, even though like tons of big raw material still ships via rail, but it's like, the point is things can change quickly. So
Kat had a good point, and you're absolutely right, Kat. Even if you're chair bound, sourcing can be done if you could figure out the rest. Like, you could buy online. I could buy as much inventory as I want that's sellable at a profitable margin online without ever leaving the house. As much as I want. I could have semis delivered here. It's just you're not going to get it at the buy it at $1, sell it at $100. You're going to get it at buy it at $50, sell it at $100 maybe, or maybe $75 and sell it at $100. But I think a lot of people have this misconception that when they see somebody selling something in a retail shop, they're selling it for $25 or $50, and they're getting to keep, 40 of that. They're not. They're getting to keep like a 10, 15% margin off that. The margins that we get in this business are not standard margins. We're incredibly blessed with the margins we have in this business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just even with the little, stupid stuff we do with the Playmobil, it's like I don't know how much of that relates to standard reselling content that people would talk about, because I feel like it's just different, but a little bit.
Yeah.
But there's things that translate. There's principles that apply across any industry or business or whatever.
Damn it, John.
I guess the older we get, right?
I still have hair.
Yeah, he still got hair.
You could choose to take it off.
Yeah. But real quick though, if anybody wants to hop in and join in the conversation, we still do the open link. Anybody can come in and be a part of, and even, or you can stay in the chat and be a part of that. It does look a little different because we're not actually like everybody's all over the place working and stuff. So I just want to let you know
that we're Pegasus lounging him. We think he's full of shit, and see if he'll jump in.
But there's a good example, because I see like I saw some conversation over here. I just looked over a minute ago in the chat, talking about YouTube influencers and trying to get people to follow them so they can make money from content creation and stuff like that. I think, but going back to what you said at the very beginning of this conversation, you were talking about there's just such a low bar to entry for reselling, and everybody probably, even if they started figuring out on their own outside of the YouTube sphere or the YouTube bubble of reselling, which is the way I started. I didn't even know this content existed. But I can tell you, there was a lady at our church. She talked about, she's very thrifty, very, very frugal. I mean, she's one of those, they're, basically debt free, and they've lived that way. But she would talk about buying things at the Goodwill or Salvation Army. I didn't even know what a Goodwill was, but she was flipping it on eBay. And it's like, so that's the first place I ever heard of it. She didn't connect me with any content. So it's just one of those things. It's like the basic, simple economic principle there is, you buy something low and you sell it high. That's the barrier to entry here. Yeah. And you start flipping. But then as you go, it's like, at least for me, I'm kind of a curious person. I have questions. And so, you start making other connections. Not everybody starts off with contacting a factory in China and creating some replenishable or white label product or something like that. But I think the road naturally kind of leads you there. At some point you either start thinking in terms of, okay, I need to source like lots of stuff quickly and cheaply. So like thinking in like buying in bulk or something like that. Or, you do start thinking on lines of what's a product that I can get and source and sell as a replenishable. And then you start thinking beyond that, and you start thinking, what's a product that I can get, that I can source, I can sell as a replenishable. Also, I can cut out the middleman, being me, of having to take that thing and pack it and ship every single one of whatever the widget might be, and have, skip the middleman, send it straight from,
It is a progression. I think everybody's progression is different. Ours is certainly vastly different than that. Like our progression of businesses. I mean, I've done everything from owning a machine shop to being a computer repair and a computer security guy to electrical engineering and software development. And then we owned an e-commerce company. And the complication of those businesses compared to this one are way, way, way more complicated.
Yeah.
And when we sold our last business, we said we gave ourselves a 2-year barrier. We put 2 years of wages in the bank, and we said we don't have to work for 2 years, but that also gives us 2 years to figure out the next business. What are we going to do next? Because we're not working for anyone else. And within about a year, we decided we wanted something simpler, eBay. And we dove into YouTube. We watched all the channels. We learned the basics. And it was okay, we got to buy stuff for cheap and just sell it on eBay. eBay was the business, not the acquisition was never in question. It's just, it wasn't so much what we sell, it's where we sell it. That's the business. So we sold an old junk car out here and took that money and funded getting started. And we just started. And within the year, within a 1-year period, we were making a full-time living for 2 people with a fairly hefty bill over it. It wasn't like we're still not. We're not debt free. We don't have low income bills. We have a high mortgage. We live on 10 acres. Like we don't have a small living. So we had to make that living, and we did that within a 1-year period. And we've just gotten better at it over the next 3, and we still suck at it.
And I wouldn't even want to pitch any of that as like something you should do.
No,
because I don't think that is the path for everyone. And that's not just being like relativistic about it. I just really think people are different. People who think one way think everybody should think that way. But the truth is there are so many different kinds of people and so many different kinds of ways of doing things. Some of the wealthiest people I know have never run a business or worked for themselves a day in their life, but they are, I'll say a name, but they're Dave Ramseyites.
Yeah.
You know, they've worked regular jobs, but they've taken the one single biggest wealth building thing that they have, which is their income, and they've, parlayed that into mutual funds and have built up their net worth, and then they're not even some of the wealthier ones I know, they haven't even parlayed that like my uncle parlayed things. He took all of his business earnings basically and started translating that into real estate. And I have no idea how much real estate he even owns. He probably owns a quarter of our town at this point. But they have taken what they do have without all the extra, BS that we would try to tack on them. Like, hey, well, now you need to start scaling. You need to start doing this, and you start doing this. They've just been real simple. They've been real disciplined with what they have. Put it in place.
Did it again.
Yeah, put it into smart places and let it start building. And
Yep.
So, and they're as well off and as wealthy as anybody I know. And so for someone to say, what you should do with that is like, how you got any right to tell them what they should do with that? You should probably be listening to them on some things. So,
yeah, I don't think there's any should do. And that's part of, like, when we were talking the other night, we brought up things like promoted listings and things like that, some hot topic issues in the reseller community. Speaking of promoted listings, I watched Justin's video the other day, Justin Resells, and he tied in some of the functionality. Promo Nomo has a competitor. He tied in some of the functionality of Promo Nomo into Flipwise. I was like,
really?
I was like, what? It's nowhere near as advanced as Promo Nomo at this point.
You had your Lonnie and Kevin moment.
I had my Lonnie and Kevin moment. I was like, Justin, eat a bag of. No, I wasn't mad. It was a smart move for him to do. It's very rudimentary compared to what Promo Nomo does, but that's not the core focus of his software. So,
yeah.
But I know we talked a lot about like promoted listings and that being a hot button topic, and you should do this or you shouldn't do this. I don't think there is a should or shouldn't. I think it's let's look at your business and decide what it needs.
Yeah.
And what you need from your business, because that matters too.
There's also, there's going to be the person that's like, that's going to promote at a really high rate. But their thing is they're just turning inventory just hand over fist as quick as they can. And to them, that makes more sense to just spend that extra money to make money quicker, So
I will say Promo got a good email this morning. We were approved with our eBay request. We sent a request to eBay to have our API extended for what we're allowed to use it for and how many times we're allowed to use it and stuff. So now our best offer, not only promotions on a tiered base by age, but best offer on a promotion based by age. Like you can turn on best offer after say 60 days, whatever you set it to. That is all fully integrated now, and eBay supports it, and they've given us the headroom to do that for our entire user base. So that was working with eBay is a challenge sometimes, but I'm pretty confident that we're in a better spot. Justin's in a better spot because he has a much larger audience. He's going to do fine.
Yeah.
But we're in a better spot as far as the software is actually more functional and does more for you to save money. Like we're in a good spot. So we're not too worried about the competition. And I think you're going to see more people looking at that kind of stuff, like trying to figure out a way to do that. But yeah. I think that also largely depends on these YouTube channels, mine included, because we don't know what we're talking about half the time. I think it depends on these kind of YouTube channels starting to evolve a little bit and quit putting out all the, I heard it from here bullshit. Like promoted listings works for me, so I'm going to promote at 6% because that's what Tekken did, or promoted listings doesn't work and I don't need it because that's what Kevin does. It's all bullshit. Very few of them have taken the time to sit down and say, I have 200 of these items. I'm going to put 100 in this listing and 100 in this listing. I'm going to run one with promoted listings and one without. And I'm going to look at the net income. I don't care about the sales and the gross. Net income, which made me more money, this listing or this listing. And if they get that answer and make the decision based off data, that's the kind of content that probably should be out there more. But it's mostly kind of a good old boys, well, Kevin doesn't do it, or Tekken doesn't do it, or does do it, and that's how a lot of people make decisions based off those YouTube videos, which I think is disservice to the community because nobody's actually saying that's a good theory, but let's test it.
Right. Tanya and I were talking about this, slightly talking about this the other night. So, I've been in the listening to reseller content for probably since 2015 or so. I'm trying to think back. That's probably is before Kevin, before.
Been doing this a lot longer than me then.
Yeah. But thinking about it, one thing we've never done is, I'm trying to think the best way to say it. Well, here's kind of what we were talking about. I hear all of these resellers talk about stuff, and we rarely ever pull the trigger on anything. People talking about, for example, you should run sales once your inventory hits this age, you should run sales. And I think that's fine. But for us, with what we're doing, we've never really incorporated all that. I haven't run a sale in probably 4 or 5 years now.
Yep.
Watching what you guys do.
We're aggressive with it, but we have a reason behind it. We have to.
Yeah. And then watching what you guys do as far as I know you made you guys talked about it on your video last year. You made the conscious effort to start going with bigger ticket items. Mm-hmm. Well, I've got 1,000 small things with these little Playmobiles, but we sell a ton of them. And it's but I never felt like it's one of those things, I'm listening to it and I'm, the principles of what you're talking about. I'm thinking of ways that we can incorporate that into what we do, but yet we've never changed what we did, if that makes sense. It's one of those things, I'm listening to the content that you're putting out there, and there are the things that work for what we do, but I've never felt the need to that sounds like I need to scrap everything I'm doing and do what they're doing. You know what I mean?
But a lot of people do get that.
I know, and that's
amazing. I love this comment that they've had her come in and teach us the seniors how to resell.
That is awesome.
Even a little bit of financial literacy at the high school level, it would change the country pretty quickly.
Yeah. But I think one of the things that happens with like YouTube resellers get blamed for a lot of stuff that I don't think they should get blamed for. It's like every single person listening to content has agency, and they have personal responsibility.
Yep.
And you know, and it's like we can't. People aren't stupid. You know, maybe some people are more amenable to coercion than well. Okay, we can have that debate. But some people are more amenable to coercion, you know, like to be influenced to do a thing. But, you know, at some point, it's like, at some point, you have to just take personal responsibility for what you do. And
well, a lot of the YouTubers are talking like we do when we get on. We're talking from, that's kind of why I brought the topic up from the trash to cash, because I don't disagree with a lot of what they said, but they were actually, you could tell it was very much they were having the conversation from the viewpoint of a content creator in the reselling space. They weren't having the conversation as serious full-time resellers.
Yeah.
You know, they have that pad of my content pays my bills. It doesn't really matter what I do on the, so it was, the content was skewed by their perspective, but I think every single creator has the same issue. My content is skewed by my perspective, and it's completely different than yours or Chris's.
You know, there's a Bible verse that says, you know, wisdom is found in a multitude of counselors. It's like if you just listen to one source and you just listen to one point of view, you're not getting the full picture, and you're not getting the most wisdom that you can get. And then, you know, I think the other, you know, problem with influences are they in for their own butt. They care less for the new small guys. I don't like. I'm trying to think of somebody I know that I think is just being dishonest with their content, and I don't really. I probably could think of one, but I don't really think anybody's doing it. Yeah, this guy over here. I can't think of anybody that is being dishonest just for their own gain necessarily. I mean, I'm sure I thought about it.
It's malicious. I mean, most people most people watching these YouTube videos, when they're, use Kevin, for example, he does a really good job of affiliate marketing. Well, guess what? He's an affiliate marketer. And he's a content creator and an affiliate marketer. That's what he is. That's what he does. Sure, he makes that content about reselling, and he makes more reselling than a lot of resellers make. So you can't say he's not a reseller either. He's that too. But when you're watching that content, you see, oh, use code Commonwealth, America Bubble Boy. Like, that's part of his job. And most people are smart enough to go, okay, this is the commercial part.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at. Like, I've never watched one of those videos and thought, I need to go do that right now.
I've never, because I'm cynical. I'm cynical like that.
But, you know, at the same time, I haven't not used a code that a reseller had, just, you know, out of spite. It's like, I'm watching the content. I don't mind helping them some, you know, and it's not costing me anything, but and I got to have it anyway.
Let's switch the topic. I want to get Chris re-engaged here. Chris, what are you doing?
Looking at the computer.
We're gonna talk about your buddy here, so we're gonna get you re-engaged.
Oh, okay. Who's my buddy?
We're gonna talk about Pegasus Lounge for a second.
Okay.
Not in a bad way, but
yeah.
I caught part of his last video. I think it was his last video, and he was basically talking about the younger resellers. Did anybody catch that one?
I hadn't seen it, no.
He was talking about the younger resellers and their borrowed wisdom, and the gist of the video was, you're young and you don't know what you're talking about, just shut up, kind of. That's the vibe it had. That's not what he said. I'm not saying
that's what the thumbnail said, pretty much too.
That's basically the vibe of it. Was, you're too young to even know what you don't know, just shut up. And while I didn't disagree that he pointed out some things where they were 100% just parroting what someone else said because they're young resellers, I also had a real issue with ever doing that to a young demographic in a business, because those young guys that don't know what they're doing are often the people who are innovating and changing the business. I think you got to let the young guys talk, because us old guys are set in our ways and we're like, we don't promote because we don't need to, and we're never going to change. And the young guys are like, We don't promote either, but we started 8 marketing agencies that run our ads. Like those are the guys innovating stuff. So I think making a video like that and making those young guys gun shy about saying something that they might be critiqued on, I think that does all of us a disservice. What are your thoughts? Anybody see the video?
I haven't seen it, but you know, coming from my other world of church stuff, like that's a big thing there. You know, there's very much like this. I wouldn't call it elitist, but it's very much like, you know, settle down. You don't know what you don't know yet. You're not smart enough to know what you don't know yet. You're not self-aware enough to know what you don't know. And then yet some of the most innovative and groundbreaking things that are taking place are happening because people haven't learned how to do things yet. And so they're thinking outside of the box, as it were.
Yes.
So
Cat nailed it with this one. That those younger guys that don't, when I started businesses, I didn't have business school. I was just another moron starting a business. And I did things in ways that nobody had seen done before. And most of them were the hard way or the wrong way. But every now and then I stumbled across doing something that just hadn't been done because nobody knew it could be done.
Yeah. So there's a quote that I love, and it says, "The reasonable man adapts himself to the world around him, while the unreasonable man adapts the world to himself. Therefore, all forward progress depends on unreasonable men."
Yeah.
And so
that's not untrue.
I just think that's kind
of. Here, I disagree, Corey. Here's why. Why. The younger guys, I get what you're saying. I understand that, what you're saying, but I disagree. I mean, for someone like me, we've been doing this for years.
I haven't. 4 years.
I mean, let's see. So then you have a younger guy come along and be like, "Oh, it works better this way and this way," when something's worked for us. You've been doing it 4 years, Corey. I mean, say somebody starts up a YouTube channel today, it's only been reselling for a year, and they try and tell you, "Oh, well, this works better and better," when you know for a fact it doesn't. I think a lot of the younger guys do give you misleading information, and not intentionally, but just because they don't know any better.
I think that's where agency comes in too. You have to filter what's coming through. You have to filter it and decide if you're going to use that or believe that or not.
Yeah.
And I understand part of Pegasus' whole thing is I'm protecting the stupid people. I'm protecting you from hearing bad information. That's part of his whole shtick. I'm calling these guys out because they're putting out bad information, and I want to make sure you get the right information. Well, one, nobody appointed you to do that, and two, you have to be responsible to filter out the bullshit in the world that works for you and what doesn't work for you. But I will say, you can learn more from an idiot than an educated guy 9 times out of 10, because the idiot isn't restrained by the walls. He doesn't know there's a wall there. So if he's going to build something, he'll just build it. And sometimes it works and sometimes it falls. But if you don't know the rules, you just do things in a different way. So it's not all bad either way.
Yeah. Right. So I watched a video the other night. It was Ray, Nashville Flipper. I don't know the name of the show or the channel. And they had the girl that does Whatnot on there. Her name's Katie Coe.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just killing it. Now, people would probably have a lot of issues with the way she's killing it, but it's like if before you stop her to tell her it's like before you stop her to tell her it's not going to work, it's going to be hard to do when it's working so well for her, Yeah. And then, but it's like listening to it, I'm smart enough to know that not a lot of people are going to latch onto what she's saying and do what she's saying because of the nature of how she's doing it. But also to me, there's this thing of like, well, you shouldn't stop somebody to tell them they can't do something while they're in the middle of doing it.
I think that was in one of our previous videos. Our last Wednesday video is Teresa and we're actively working on being better at driving by the car wrecks. It's not our job to say, stop, you're doing that wrong. That's actually going to lead you to a bad spot in this business. And it's something we've done before when we see somebody going down a path that we went down and we crashed the car. We have that, or Teresa has that tendency to say, hang on, guys, that's a dead end. There's a tree at the end you're going to hit. And we just got to get better at driving past the car wreck. It'd be like, they'll hit the tree, they'll be fine. And they'll get a new car and they won't hit it again, because that's how we learned. If somebody had told us that's a tree down there, we probably would have kept going because we thought we were smarter than they were. So we get better at ignoring that.
There's also, I think there's a flaw in Pegasus thinking that you're going to tell somebody all the roadblocks and they're going to go, oh, I don't have to do that. That's just not the way life works. And this is what I was trying to relate to him in a conversation. He dismissed it as like, you're in one arena and I'm in another. Yeah. And my point, my thing is, no, people are people. Whether we're talking about church stuff or business stuff or life stuff or whatever we're talking about, people are people. They process information a certain way. And here's the truth. Most people don't process relevant information as relevant information until they need to know it.
Yeah, that's true.
It really is. Information is on a need to know basis. And people do not listen. Most people, 99% of the time, do not listen to information that's not relevant to them at that moment or yet.
Or at the very least, they don't process it and retain it. It's just not important.
Yeah, they're not going to do it. People typically don't do. Now, there are a certain segment of people who, seek out, like Ken. Ken probably would be a learner and would seek out information and
we don't need those guys. They're not contributing.
Yeah, like Ken would probably it sounds like, you say it sounds like he's risk adverse. Yeah. He's probably the kind of guy who seeks out all the information before he takes a step and then takes a step. If he takes a step.
To an excess. Yeah. This is self-admitted. I'm not picking on Ken. He will analyze something to the very end step. Like, I want to start a poop scooping business for pets. He will analyze that down to when he sells the business in 15 years. And if there's a roadblock in that path anywhere, he tends to get hung up on it. And if he can't solve that roadblock 2 years in advance, there's a good chance he just won't take the leap and start the business because he knows there's a what if coming.
Yeah.
And that's some people are like that. Teresa's very much like that in some ways, to where any what if can stop all progress.
Yeah. So let's just make it practical. Like, you've raised kids now. I've raised kids, got kids out on their own. You spend their whole childhood, kind of trying to help them see where the roadblocks are in life, the things that are going to hurt, the things they're going to do that will set them back. And the truth is that more often than not, you might have the one child that does some of those things and follows that advice. But for the most part, your children are going to hear everything you say. They're going to do everything you told them not to do. And then at some point, they're going to understand why you told them. And that's the important part, the understanding part. And they're like, then they understand those lessons that you gave them then become relevant to them. And they understand, okay, that's why I shouldn't have done that thing.
And I wish I would have known some of this stuff when I was 20.
Yeah, we all do. But you're not going to do it.
That's the problem, though.
It took me till damn near 50 to be like, oh, like it's fine if they touch the stove and burn their hand. They'll learn. Just let them be. I didn't have that. Like, it would have taken a lot of pressure off of me and off of them if I had just understood that wisdom. But even though someone older than me probably told me this at that time, I didn't process it because it wasn't relevant to me.
Yeah. And then sometimes, though, this is also true. And I could probably point to some specifics in my own life. I'm just pointing in general to life. I'm pointing at life. I had people not here, had people that gave me good, solid advice on a thing, and it was wrong. And it was just wrong. Like, I should have done things my way. I'll give you like a stupid example. Tanya and I, we met, we were really tight, really close, quickly. We should have just gotten married. Like, we could have gotten married in 2 months and it would have been fine.
Wow.
Instead of just waiting, for like, because people like, well, you need to wait. And conventional wisdom, that's true for 99% of people. But for us, we just wasted 2 weeks. That's great. We just wasted those 2 years.
Yep.
We could have, and so we should have just done. My mom and dad were married in 3 months, and they've been together they're still together.
Yep, we're almost 30 years, and we got
Corey,
married.
y'all knew each other before you.
We knew each other. We dated for maybe 30 days in high school, and then I kind of hid from her and tried to avoid her. She tracked me down in a different state, in between her AIT and duty station. She tracked me down. She stalked.
My point there is that sometimes conventional wisdom is not the best advice for the individual.
No. I think the thing that left a bad taste in my mouth for the most part on that particular episode was just that it felt like if people watched that, if I was young and I watched that, it would make me pretty gun shy about putting out content. It would make me rethink putting out content. And I think that's a bad thing. I don't think that's a good thing. I think the people that are 50, 60 years old saying, I've been on this earth for 50 years. What the hell do you know? Like, those people need slapped in the head. Those are the ones that need to shut up. They might know something. You're just too old and stubborn to listen to it. And a lot of times those younger guys are the ones with the energy and the ambition and the lack of knowledge that lets them innovate. Like,
and you know what?
Can't steer that way.
There's some 70-year-old looking at that 50-year-old thinking, oh my God, this guy, and he's like, just wait till he gets my age. And then when the 50-year-old gets like 75 or 80, he's like, man, I said so many stupid things.
Somebody mentioned that there is a difference between not knowing something and being arrogant and putting out content like I know, and this is the best way for those young guys. And I agree. But you were young once too, and you probably remember you had a bit of a chip on your shoulder at one time too. I know I did. And life humbles that out of you. Life will humble that. And I think that let them put out that content where they're so sure of themselves, and then life will prove them wrong. And that's what teaches humility. There's nothing wrong with that. Let them put it out. I say turn them loose. Let them do it. Let the arrogant ones be arrogant. Let the ones that are sure of themselves when they shouldn't be, let them be sure of themselves.
But the problem is, though, let them do that. But then how many other people are they going to steer in the wrong direction?
I don't think that's not on them.
That's not the way that works.
That's not on them.
Look, I can tell you
stripping tomorrow. Like Chris, you're doing it wrong. You need to go down to the club. You need to be a stripper.
I know I'm doing it wrong.
If you take that advice and you go do that, and then you're going to blame me for steering you wrong, who's the dumbass in that situation? It's not me.
I think what I'm saying though is that the person giving the information doesn't know any better, and the person receiving the information doesn't know any better.
Then they're both going to learn a life lesson.
There's a train wreck coming. You know what I mean?
That's okay though. There's nothing wrong with it.
That's part of the process.
There's nothing that'll teach you faster than a major failure.
Oh yeah.
Nothing will teach you faster. And I guarantee that person that took the advice, the next time they watch YouTube and they see advice, they're going to vet that a little better. So they learn.
I may not change your mind here, Chris, but let's do like a little exercise. Just in your brain, in your mind, think of some of the stupid things you did in life. You got something, and you got a couple of things in mind.
You only had to go back to yesterday.
Yeah, I got.
And I'm not. Don't share what those things were. But anybody listening can do this. There's a good chance that all of those things that you did that were stupid, you were probably told beforehand by someone with much more wisdom than you should not do those things, right? You need to stay away from this. You need to stay away from that. All the things that led you to make those mistakes you made, right?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Except for a few. There's a few that nobody said anything.
And it didn't matter. you still listened to the stupid friends you were with, and that was part of the learning process. You had to,
that's what I'm trying to say. I mean,
yeah, but my point is, you're not going to stop that. And no matter how, if God himself stepped onto the planet and said, "Thou shalt not," huh?
He has done it. You know? I mean,
yeah. And how many of us have listened to him?
Yeah, I get you.
Like, look right here.
That's
zero.
But see, that's the parent.
0%.
Right, but I think that's the parent in us because we do that with our children. We want to wring our children's neck because they won't listen to us because we know better. We've already been down there, but it's the same thing. It's the same concept. It's the same concept, I think. Like Leroy.
But zero people follow that advice. Zero people follow that advice. So why are you insisting on being that way?
It stresses me out. It really does.
Look, here's the thing.
It reminds me of talking to my children.
This is my take on the Pegasus thing, okay? It's just like, and he would say, no, it's too different. It's too different. You know, like your audience is different. But communication is communication, no matter what you're called. The communication things that I was trying to talk about with him, I didn't learn from church communicators. I learned from business people. All right. That's where I learned those things. But here's the thing. Is like most churches are geared towards people who are already church people. They're churches for church people, and they're not any good at all at talking to people who don't already go to church. So the point is you're just preaching to the choir. You've heard that phrase, right? Mm-hmm. You're just preaching to the choir, and everybody in the choir is saying, amen, hallelujah, brother, preach it, right? Meanwhile, the people who need to hear the information aren't even hearing what you're saying because they're not even in your audience. And I would venture, and this is just my guess, I can't back this up with any data whatsoever, but if you could get a good survey, a good census, a good survey of Pegasus' audience, his audience is people who already agree with him about other resellers and about, doing things differently. I'm not saying there aren't converts of resellers who are hearing his comment and going, yes, I need to start doing this immediately. And so
I agree. I agree with what you're saying there. And I do think to a certain extent, I've listened to enough of his content at this point to where he has some compelling things to say. He did. I mean, anybody that can objectively watch it and take the emotion out of it, he does have some objectively good things to say.
Which is why I still listen to it. Which is why I still listen.
Do you
I think we're
real quick,
go ahead.
Do you think that so when I watched his mentality comes from what I would call not a reseller, from a business mentality.
No.
Do you want to follow what I'm saying? Like he's looking like when you watch some of his critique videos, he's critiquing people like us, picking and grinning. He critiqued picking and grinning. Okay, so when I looked at that, I was like, well, we are, and I'm a small time eBay reseller. Yes, that's a stepping stone into a bigger business, of course, to what in his mind. But and Brad made a comment, why the thing about, well, you want to do this to become rich. Well, what is rich? Brad says if you're making, the census is you're making 20 to 25,000 a year, you're in that top percent. Was that what it was, Brad? What was it?
No. It's not a census. This is just statistical fact. If you clear over $50,000 a year, you're like in the top 1% or something of earners in the world. It's one of those. My point was that rich is relative. And it's like, right. Go ahead now. But I got a question for you, Chris. After you go ahead.
So what I was saying is, so his thing was, if you do this, you're doing it to be rich. I don't do this to be rich. I do it to, help support my family, but I do it because it allows me the free time to be able to enjoy my family, You follow?
But he explained his logic behind that, and he does say that if you're just doing this for funsies or you do this because you like it, then it's not the same conversation. And his answer to that is fine. His logic is not flawed in that aspect.
That's what I want. I just want a clarification. When you say rich, what do you mean? He's talking about, like, I think the gist of what he's trying to say is that, everything's about, like, even creatures understand abundance. Squirrels put away for the winter. That's, nuts for the winter. That's just that. But like my bigger question is so I'll ask you this, Chris. What's the action step that you've taken after listening to Pegasus? He's told you the problem. What's the first step he told you to take to fix it? And have you done that?
My problem isn't anything that he's said.
But has he actually told, and anybody can tell you what a problem is. Has he actually given you a step to take, like a next step to take? Like, I can stand up on Sundays at the church and tell everybody they're going to hell if I wanted to, right? I could do that. But I can tell them how their life sucks and, and stuff like that. But if I don't give them a next step, what was the point of saying any of that?
Right. I get you.
So what's the next step? What next step have you heard him tell you to take? And maybe he's given you one, but I'm just asking the question.
I don't know of a next step that
But like the video, I haven't watched the video of him, talking about, the crap advice that young people are giving.
I mean, if I'm being completely honest, after watching several of his videos, I think the next step he lays out, it's part of his sales funnel is, he's driving traffic, not by just putting, and he was pretty disingenuous when he said, I'm putting people in my thumbnails and creating drama. Well, you guys are doing it too. Why does it not work for you guys, but it works for me? That was a really dishonest way to approach that. There's a difference between putting Kevin Commonwealth Picker in our thumbnail for this episode and saying, come join us and talk to Kevin, and then putting Kevin in your thumbnail and saying, this guy's a douche and he's wrong about everything and I'm going to prove it. You're going to get way more traffic on the drama type of thumbnail when you're saying, I'm going to prove this guy wrong, or he was wrong about this. That kind of, and you could look at his channel and you could see those videos get a ton of traffic. And the ones where he's like, I'm going to get a whiteboard and let's talk some numbers, get like 200-300 views. It's a completely different thing. And he knows that. So he's being completely dishonest when he says, well, you guys do it and it doesn't work for you. He knows why. I mean,
that's the thing. We've never made a video about Pegasus Lounge. Pegasus Lounge came up as part of this conversation, and that's different.
Yep. And the only reason I brought him up is because I thought he kind of did a disservice to the young guys. And I thought the message in that video was going to take some of these young guys and make them a little gun shy about making content. And that is bad for the whole community. So I wanted to address that. Not so much what he said in the video. I didn't disagree with a lot of what he said. Yes, they were wrong. Yes, they borrowed content. Yes, they were oversure of themselves in certain spots. That's called being 22 years old.
Yeah.
But don't we all so-called borrow content in the reselling niche? Because in content,
it's not about borrowing.
We're all rehashing the same thing over and over and every day.
But I think what he was trying to say is, you hear Gary Vee say, buy Bitcoin, it's the next best thing, and here's why. And then you take it, and instead of saying Gary Vee said this, you say, I'm super smart, and I figured out if you buy Bitcoin, that's the next big thing, and here's why. Then you're reappropriating wisdom as your own that wasn't. And it is something that happens a lot. It is something that young people do a lot, and it's in every niche. But I think life will siphon that out of them. Life will kick them in the butt when somebody says, and he just did it. They just learned a life lesson. So he did them a favor. But at the same time, I don't want to see them be like, well, Pegasus is watching. We can't make content anymore. We got to be careful about what we say. I don't want them to do that. That's a bad thing for everybody.
Yeah.
And I know argument to that would be, how is it a bad thing if they're more confident in their content and they do more research and they speak smarter and don't speak out of their ass? That's not what 20-year-olds do. And that's part of what innovation comes from, is 20-year-olds thinking they're smarter than they are. That's a good thing, not a bad thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to keep bringing up the church thing, but all the forward progress and, and like things that pushing the barriers in the church. And I'm not talking about like liberal things. I'm not talking about that, but I'm just talking about good, positive forward progress in church stuff. It's not coming from people my age.
No.
And that's okay.
I just think that if you have not lived it, you really can't speak realistically on the subject.
That's
You
an
know
old
what I mean?
that's an old man viewpoint. I think it's horseshit.
So you think
When I was in my 20s working in mechanic shops, that some old guy came up and said, I've been here for 45 years longer than you have. Shut up and do it my way. When his way took 2 hours and my way took 30 minutes. Sometimes
that's different though.
Sometimes I was horribly wrong. He was right a lot of times. But sometimes he was the fucking idiot. And they've been doing it wrong for a long time, and there's an easier way. I don't have to use a pair of pliers to change an alternator. I have an air ratchet. Fuck off. Like, there are cases where that young guy's smarter, and you got to let them be idiots. You have to.
Yeah. So I have the inside track. I won't drop names and say all that stuff, but because of the nature of the way we do church, I have some connections with the largest church in the country. And I know that one of the things they do is they actually are very, very focused on, like, the pastor's my age, but he very much is like, has an organization of people who are like maybe 25 or under. And they are constantly, asking those guys what they think. And they're learning so much from those young people. So
if you're willing.
I'm sure Pegasus's point would be that, he's doing business the way it's been done for generations, and he's following time-honored traditions, and he's right. But
Chris made a point earlier that when you listen to Pegasus, you think that that's coming from the business experience and the business knowledge, and he's a very business guy. So that's the smart guy that you want to listen to. You were kind of going down that path a little bit, and I've been in business a long time, and I've done a lot of different businesses and a lot of conferences with business owners that I would never aspire to be as large as them. Super large business owners. And when you talk to those guys, none of them speak the way Pegasus does. None of them. Most of them are super humble. They're always willing to learn from the next guy below them. Even though they're way smarter than that guy, they got smart because they listened to the other guy. They never got to the point where they were in third person. I know everything. You better start listening to Corey because Corey's got it. It was never that. You never met that personality in business.
Yeah. Well, let me ask it another way. Like, I'm just listening for the content, like the same way I listen to you, Corey, and it's like, that's something that, that's something to be thinking about, or that's something, but what's the credentials on him? Because one internet guy says something different, what's the credentials on him, and how do you know they're legit?
And even if they are legit, I would say,
have you seen the W-2s? I know Corey got asked for his W-2s on a video.
It's 1040.
I have the W-2s if somebody really,
or not the W-2s, but yeah, the 1040. Sorry, I used the wrong term.
I don't file a W-2.
I read that comment.
Right, you don't file a W-2 in yourself. Yeah, I just said the wrong thing. But yeah,
no,
I mean, like,
but to that point, it really doesn't matter. Was the spot that he's probably, the persona that he's putting himself in on his YouTube channel is the smartest guy in the room. That's the persona he's putting himself in. Is Pegasus is the smartest guy in the room. I have some things to say, and I'm going to show you why these guys are wrong. The only wrong part about that is, and it's not wrong. Maybe that's right for him. Maybe that's what he wants to do. The thing I would avoid with that myself is I never want to be the smartest guy in the room. How freaking boring would that room be? I want to be the smartest guy in the room. I want to learn from everybody in the room.
And that goes back to the pastor that I'm telling you about. He's the pastor of the largest church in this country. None of you can probably name his name because it's not advertised like that. But he is in the position because of the things they've done, and not just that, but because of the moral authority of the way he's lived his life, he has the ability to look at every single person who works for him, for his church or whatever, and to tell them, you should listen to what I say. And this guy humbles himself to look at young people and be like, tell me.
That's what I mean. As hard as Pegasus is to listen to for a lot of people, and I'll give him these credits, as hard as he is to listen to because of the position he's coming from, I've learned things listening to Pegasus that made me think. I was like, that's actually kind of smart. Like, I don't think he's a stupid guy. I think he's super intelligent.
Oh no, that's
off.
Yeah, and that was my whole conversation I tried to have. It didn't work because there was always another like end around of, and it's like, okay, I'll let you have the last word. We're not going to agree on this. But
and to be fair to Pegasus, if that's the approach he's taking and that's working for his channel, and it obviously is, who the hell am I to tell him to do it different? I'm just saying from my perspective, that approach is not the approach that I would ever. That's not the approach that I could ever take.
Yeah, I think there's a if you want to reach people with your message, I feel like there's a better approach to take. But he doesn't obviously agree with that, and that's okay. He's for who he's for.
The only reason it got brought up at all is because of that young guy episode. I thought that was an interesting tack that he took, and it's one that gets taken a lot. And I think it's wrong.
Now, wouldn't it be the same? The episode, the reason I didn't watch it, and I'm not gonna lie, because I watched some of his content, but the reason I didn't watch that was because I was like, okay, this is another J Ride Flips episode. Did you see that episode?
I don't think so.
I can't remember which video. I don't know if it was on the one that he had us on, picking and grinning on in the very beginning. It could have been. Or maybe an episode after.
They're all pretty much the same. He just pulls a piece of content from some other creator and then creates the argument and customize it for that video and proves them wrong on a point. And I don't know anybody that's made videos for a decent amount of time that hasn't said something that could be pulled out of a video in context. Pull that out and say that was a dumb thing to say and it was factually wrong. I don't know anybody that's made videos long enough. If you go look at he'd have a hey.
Yeah, but it's also like what content came before and after that. That might put that piece you heard in context in a different context. So, and
it does with ours. I mean, we say all the time, we've been doing this 4 years. We are not the experienced reseller. We look old and dusty, but we're not the experienced resellers in this market.
Do you think the reason you're drawn to it, Chris, is because I know for a long time you've been lamenting that nobody talks about the negatives of reselling. Yeah. Do you like it because he's talking about the negatives of reselling?
Maybe. I don't know.
I think a lot of people like it because he's talking crap about the resellers that they also would like to see taken down a peg. People don't like to see other people succeed. I mean,
I don't mind seeing other people succeed. I don't mind that one bit, because when you see other people succeed, and let's take, like, we'll use the most common one, Kevin. We use Kevin, for example. I find it awesome to see Kevin succeed because he's worked his tail off to get where he's at. You know what I mean? That's not where I have the problem at. The problem I have a problem with those that have succeeded and they're arrogant and just straight out jerks about every bit of it. And they're those, oh, you have to do it my way. Or they're those that don't tell you the whole story behind. They make you that their whole content is built on a mirage to get you to think something else is happening when something else really happened in order for them to
I don't want you to name names live or anything, but do you have a specific person or piece of content you can point to that?
I got a couple, yeah.
Because that sounds like that would be someone doing something maliciously, and I don't know many or any content creators.
I don't know. I can't say that it's done maliciously, but it's definitely not transparent.
Well, they don't owe you transparency.
Part of
they don't owe me transparent, but it's unfair to to me, it's unfair to other resellers that are. It's unfair to other resellers that watch the content and be like, "Oh, I can do this."
See,
and then when they try and do it, they're like, "Why is it not working the way they are saying?" And then you find out, "Oh, this is the reason why."
See, I'm going to challenge.
I get it. And it's all because they didn't tell you the whole story. They're not completely transparent. So if you really want to help someone, I personally believe you have to be completely transparent. Corey and Teresa, you guys are pretty transparent when you do your videos.
We are, but that's what we choose to do. But I will challenge you on this. I think part of that comes from, I think part of that is a little bit entitled. I don't think any content creator, no matter what content they're creating, no matter how transparent or non-transparent they are, they don't owe their viewers shit. Nothing. They're creating content, giving it to you for free. You're choosing if you watch it and connect with them or not. And if you watch somebody and say, well, I don't think they're transparent, I don't like their content, I don't like what they're saying, then just stop watching.
Now, if that content is not geared toward education, then yes, I can agree 100% what you're saying. Sure. But when you're trying to educate people, but you're educating it with a false I guess pretense is the right word. If you're educating it, if you're trying to educate someone and you're not having full transparency with the education, you're not teaching them anything. You're lying to them and misleading them down the road.
Ask a clarification,
didn't you?
Do you understand what I mean when I say that?
Yeah, but let me ask a clarification question. In their other content, have they addressed the thing that you think they're leaving out in other content? And then let me give you an are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Because this would be like,
because when you ask about the specific things that I'm talking about, you're told we don't give that information. Well, how can you truly teach someone something if you're not going to give the whole? That would be like me telling you that'd be like me telling you, teaching a young child what 2 + 2 is without telling them, hey, the easiest way to do it is to do it on your fingers.
Well, let me ask you a question.
They're like, how do they do that?
Like, this is in no way an attack on Pegasus, but let me ask you a question. Has he given you the name of his product or his supplier?
I'm not talking about Pegasus.
I'm not either, but I'm saying he's not giving you all the information either.
But he's not teaching us information. He's just critiquing other people's information.
Exactly.
That even makes sense. What I just said.
No, I was just like, I don't. What do you want them to tell you? Like, and are you sure they haven't addressed it somewhere else? It's like, look, we have people.
Brad was talking about from my last video. This puts this clearly in the frame. That comment where we gave our numbers from the end of the year. We do it every year. We do one video where we share our numbers. Very transparent. We show all of the numbers across all of our eBay stores. One of the first comments we got was, you guys are clowns. Where's your W-2? Prove your numbers.
But see, that's somebody that's not a reseller. That wasn't a reseller to make that comment. But
that sounds like somebody.
I don't know if they're a reseller.
I mean,
there's just a lot.
Probably are.
I mean, maybe I'm spoiled because I've watched so much content from so many different resellers that gives out that are fully transparent with everything. And then you watch somebody that I feel like I've learned something from, but then when I find out they haven't been fully transparent with what I've learned, then now I'm like, is what I've learned even correct? And I find out that it's wrong, because they haven't been fully transparent in it. I mean, I can't go into great detail without, and I'm not going to.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. But the reason I asked about the other content, it'd be like we have people who show up at Christmas and Easter, and they're like,
I understand.
And they're like, all you ever talk about was Jesus was born and Jesus died, and it's like there were 50 other weeks this freaking year.
Right. I get you. I get you. Yeah.
You showed up on the 2 weeks where we talk about when he was born and when he died. Good Lord.
Yeah,
I
Chad,
get,
he doesn't.
what he say?
I don't disagree.
He doesn't
He
call
said he
people
doesn't have
names.
he doesn't call people names. Like, he doesn't attack anyone personally. I agree. He just does it from a position of authority, and
Yeah.
Hey,
I think
Mary,
we talked about that. And I don't have. I hope Pegasus channel stays, and I hope he keeps doing what he's doing, and I hope he succeeds. I have no issue with what he's doing. It was just that particular episode and the message that came across in that episode I wanted to discuss here, because I thought it sent a very bad message.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to make some people gun shy about making content. And it's the most important people, regardless of what us old people think, it's the most important people in the community.
yeah.
It's the young people.
And my point with Pegasus that I tried to relay to him, he kind of shut it down. That's okay. My point was that if you think the information you have is information that people need, specifically like people who are stuck in the bad loops of reselling and struggling with it, there's probably a better way to reach those people and actually get the message out to them. But that's just me. By the way, Mary, we call those people CEOs at our church, Christmas and Easter only people. Saw your comment there in the chat, Mary.
So I that was just, and that's what's been my pet peeve for
I think
a few
I'm seeing a pattern. I'm seeing a pattern, Chris.
Yeah.
I think personal responsibility is huge. And I think that goes across to the content you watch. Like, you can watch something and feel like I was lied to or I was cheated and be upset about it, and then just never watch that channel again.
Well, I don't watch it again.
I do think personal responsibility comes into play when it comes to watching any kind of free content. And it's not just YouTube, to be clear. There's people writing blog posts every day. There's people putting out podcasts on audio every day.
Yeah.
There's a ton of bad content or misinformed content. And I don't think 90% of it is intentional.
Leroy has a question.
Less misinformed.
Leroy's going to speak up finally. He has a question.
Oh, you have a question?
Please let Corey finish. When you guys are done with this topic, I mean, I have until 6. So when you guys are done with this topic, I'd like to bring up a topic.
I think we beat this topic to death. We're good.
Go ahead, Leroy. What you got?
Bring it up. Let's hit it.
What is it? Did anybody have any challenges or resolutions, or like, just not, doesn't have to call it a resolution, just what is your do better or do different for 2026?
We did a whole video on this.
I did too.
We hadn't done it yet. Our year started with a death in the family, so we haven't really had time to do that yet.
Brad, did you do a video on it?
I should.
If that's the only
video you watch, you'll think somebody dies in my family every week, Chris.
Oh no! See, no. I've been watching a couple of people for a while now, and just this past year, late in the year, when I started bringing up my grievances about this whole thing, is when it finally dawned on me. No wonder it doesn't work. This is why. And I'm just like, they just pretty much mislead people. If you're trying to teach someone, don't mislead them. And when I say mislead them, yeah, you may not be misleading them intentional, huh?
I guess we were done with that topic. Hang tight, Leroy.
Sorry, yeah, we're done with it. I'm sorry, Leroy. My goal has changed a lot. We're doing. Jesus. All right, go ahead, Leroy.
He wants you to talk more about it. He asked the question of you.
That's the question. But Chris went right back to where he needed to go.
All right, look.
So I understand you guys made videos. I didn't see the videos. Just a quick preview for the people who didn't see the videos. What are your changes or do betters for 2026?
Who wants to go first? You want to go, Chris?
I guess I can. So,
Chris, you only got 3 minutes to answer this.
I'll go first.
Video there.
Since I've already said how our year started and we hadn't really had conversations about that, I'm just going to ask the question. Maybe the people on this channel know, maybe they don't, but where do you go from number one?
Who?
When
Chris?
you're number one, where do you go from there? Number oneer?
Yeah.
You become more number one.
You got to get to number 0.
Yeah. Brad's right there, number one. Hey, in case nobody knows, I'm gonna say it for him because he wants to tell everybody. Brad is the number one Playmobil seller on eBay.
Used Playmobil seller.
Used Playmobil.
Yeah. I hadn't looked this week. I could have dropped back down to 2 or 3. Who
He's
knows?
number 2 now.
Go ahead, Corey.
We had a couple of goals. I mean, we have a monetary goal, but that's not relevant to anyone else other than us. But we'd almost went the whole show without it.
It would not have come up if Leroy hadn't asked that question, and I had nothing else to say.
I mean, probably our biggest goal right now is we want to do 25K in net off, or 25K in revenue off of eBay. Well, outside of reselling completely. That's not reselling related at all. So that's one of our biggest goals this year, is to start diversifying our income. We want to get to the point where we can go into our eBay store, shut it off, and walk away for a month without no sales on eBay and just take a break if we want. And right now, if we did that, we wouldn't pay bills. So we're trying to get income outside of eBay that allows us to just shut it off. That's probably our biggest goal.
Are you even listening, Leroy?
Yeah, I started listening today.
Listening, paying attention to what he's saying.
Oh, I thought you said listening. yeah, so listen today.
Brad, he's number 2.
I understand exactly what he's saying, because if I have to double back on that, that's sort of why I do these little things and I sort of step away. It's not, I mean, I'm still making money. I have to support my family and all my bad habits. But if but I feel like eBay traps you if you're doing it by yourself. I really, really do. So
explain what you mean by that, Leroy.
What by eBay trapping you? You have to. You're just say everybody here is a 2-person operation. A 2-person operation.
I'm not.
Okay? I'm 2 people.
Got at least 2 personalities, Chris. Maybe 3.
Yeah. So we're all 2 people operations. Okay. I lost one of them, but that's a different day for another show. Okay. but
am I missing something? Wait a minute. What happened with Leroy?
Nothing happened with Leroy.
Well, what do you mean you was 2 when you lost someone?
I lost someone. You lose someone. I lost.
You lost a whole person.
Leroy
lost a whole person.
Oh, did he?
For us,
Yeah.
A little child.
Like a 50-pound person or more.
Congratulations, Leroy.
He lost a 40 or 50-pound person somewhere.
This
More than that.
is how I would explain it. When we had our e-commerce business before, we could travel and run that business from everywhere because we didn't hold inventory. We could literally, it was just answering emails. That's the whole business, was just answering emails.
Yep.
And we could do it from Hawaii if we wanted to. And it didn't tie us to this spot. With eBay, I have to come out here and ship every day.
Yeah.
I have to find inventory all the time. It traps you physically in a location.
It does.
And
okay, so that's the trap you're talking about.
Thank you, Corey.
Okay. That's the trap. All right, I get you now. All right.
So, Chris, go ahead, buddy. We'll put the timer on.
Oh, all right. So, if you don't catch everything, since Leroy put a timer on me, you can always watch my newest video that came out last night. So, we are doing things way different here. We are getting rid of all the hard goods, and we're going straight clothing, except in the main store. But we are going to be like I say, I'm getting rid of all the hard goods that's in the store. Let me put it that way. I will be picking up hard goods, but I'm only going to be picking up. I'm going to follow suit what according to Reese's done. Is going to be looking for those high ticket items. The problem is either high ticket items are priced too high to make any kind of profit up here in the thrift store areas. So I have to look at yard sales. So it's more easier for me to pick up clothing. I've done the numbers throughout the year. Clothing has been our number one seller throughout the year. Clothing ended up being 80% of my store throughout the year. So we're going to stick with clothing, and we're going to do more with that. As far as content and stuff, we created a Life at the Barn series on YouTube. I have Facebook. I have TikTok, Life at the Barn. There's going to be short clips on those. And I'm trying to do 2 videos a week other than the podcast, because I want to build my YouTube channel. I'm not going to lie. I want to grow it. I want my YouTube channel to at least produce me to start with. I want it to at least produce $100 a month. $100 a month is not a lot for a lot of people, but here at the barn, that is a huge thing for us. So that's what I want my YouTube channel to be at. That's my goal for the year on the YouTube channel. And the only way to do that is just put out content. So we're just, and the series is Life at the Barn, meaning I'm not just going to be doing reselling content. I'm going to be doing content like, if you watch my videos dropped out, we talk about how I destroyed my Sequoia by accident, and how now I had to take it to the shop because of that after I tried to fix it. And we talked about that, and we got some other things, that we're going to talk about in those segments there. So that's what I'm doing this year. I think it's going to better me. As far as the reselling aspect, I think after running the numbers and everything in our store of what we looked at, it's not going to be, I'm not going to lie, it's not going to be a sell-through rate store. It's going to be a quantity listing store. Corey bombed his head because he knows, I mean, and I hate it, but I mean, that's just the road. The clothing's the easiest for us to find. Now, I'm not going to just go out and pick up any old clothing. I've been doing it for a year. We do know what clothing does sell within a 90-day period. We do know what sells. So we're going to be picking stuff like that up. It's easy to find, cheap. And I told Tammy, I says, look, we're spending under $6 for hard goods that'll sell for $20 to $25. Why can't I do that with clothing also? Because we know what to pick up now. So my high ticket items that we're going to be looking at is going to be items that profit me $30 or more. Leroy said the timer's up. If you want to learn more, watch the video I put out last night.
Hey, did you really set a timer? I love it.
I did. From now on, that's what we're going to do on the show. Chris gets a timer.
I yield my time to the esteemed gentleman to my right.
That's funny.
Mine,
Like that.
Yours what?
mine is I start a new challenge, I guess.
What challenge did you start?
Your Silver Twong challenge?
Oh, it's silver. I don't know if it's a twang, but it's silver.
Oh, Jordan, they're not indestructible when you're Chris.
Yeah.
They are not.
I'm gonna try. It's hard for me. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to list for 100 days, but we'll see.
Woo! Nice, Leroy. Nice.
We'll see.
You gonna use a draft bank, or you just gonna try to do it?
No.
So
Why is that?
do we have
Hold on,
time? Do we have a time?
Why is that hard for people?
Why is it hard?
Why for 100 days straight hard for people? I don't.
Well, only for me, it stinks a little bit because I'm 25 miles away from my workshop.
I mean, is it boredom? I'm not saying that in a bad way. Like, is it because of boredom, burnout? Like, why is that?
Burnout. But I have so much stuff here and I don't even care. Sort of like Chris, like people like quantity. I mean, quality. Yeah, I get it. Like, but I have so much stuff here that I screwed up and bought, and it's not that bad, but that I bought that I need to like just list it. And I just want to try to list it. And I do good at challenges that I want to prove myself. Or why don't I prove to myself in something that's my job?
Do you have a set number you're going to do a day, Leroy?
No, like between 15 and 20.
So on that note, I mean, I don't know, Corey, do we have time? It has to do with what Leroy's talking about. We got time to bring up another subject?
Set your timer, Leroy.
How long?
No. Listen. Here's the thing.
What's the topic?
The topic is listing every day. How important is it, or is it important at all to list every single day?
We can do it real quick. I mean, if you go on Cat Show, when I see you on Cat Show, you don't answer for 75 minutes for one answer. So just go around the horn and bam. We could be out of here by 4 o'clock.
We're going to be out here waiting for it.
No, I think it's different for every single person. If I'm listing clothing off thrift store racks, it's very important that I list every day because the stuff that I'm listing is not going to sell fast. It's going to sell if I'm picking well, but it's not going to sell fast. If I'm listing stuff that's going to sell decent all the time, then I don't need to Jordan probably knows that he's starting to realize this. In my ephemera store where I use List Easier and I list 200 postcards at a time and just push them over. I stopped listing for almost 2 weeks. My sales haven't changed. They've stayed steady because I'm pushing a lot of quantity over and then I could take a break. But the postcards are going to move at the rate they're going to move. It doesn't affect my store. But if I stop listing on Grams and Pop and stop getting fresh, good inventory, then my sales dip. But that's because the good stuff sold already. Right. I don't think it has anything to do with activity or listing every day. It has to do with what you're putting.
Because I know for so long we have heard, at least I have heard when I first started, for so long, list 10 items a day, list 10 items a day, list 20 items a day. List 10 items. And now I'm at a point I'm like, do you really have to list every day?
You know who would have questioned that even sooner? These young people, these young kids coming in. They would have questioned that. And part of it's because they're young and they don't know the rules, and part of it's because they're lazy. And lazy people find ways around stuff.
Right. Well, I'm just asking to see. I'm not asking to be like, okay, I can just list once a week and I'm good to go. I know better than that. But I mean, I just think, I'm just wondering how important is it now?
Yeah, the only evidence that I've seen is to the contrary. I haven't seen any evidence that supports the fact that eBay rewards you for listing every day and they need to see activity. I've never seen evidence of that. I've seen evidence the other way with my ephemera store, for example, where I could go 2 weeks and it doesn't change my sales volume or my velocity at all. They just keep selling. But I've never seen evidence that if I don't have some activity every day, that's going to be a thing. And I don't think anybody outside of eBay can give you that evidence. It'd be very hard to prove that.
Right. So Chad says he don't think listing every day matters.
This is me. This is my answer. I don't think any of us can answer that. Any of us answering that question is just conjecture at some point.
It is.
Because we haven't
seen evidence of it.
That means we have incomplete data. We don't have access to the algorithm, so we have no idea what it says. At best, we're just going off of what like not one person, but a bunch of one persons did that seemed to notice a difference, or something they didn't do and they noticed a difference.
But also there's a billion variables in what this person or group seen and what this person or group seen What are they listing?
So
What
it's for us, it's conjecture. For me to say one way or the other is conjecture, because I do not know what the data actually is from eBay. I don't know what the algorithm is from eBay, so I can't answer it honestly or accurately.
The reason, so back
test it
when I first started,
that's the thing.
You list 10 items a day. The logic behind it was you're going to sell 10 items a day. Well, that will work if you have a really, really high sell-through rate on that item,
and
or you
that's
have
what I'm saying.
Quantity.
It's conjecture. It's conjecture because you don't have all the data. For the person who lists 10 and sells 10, it's like, well, what's the information that we don't have? What were those 10 things?
Or how many items did you have in your store, or what was the sell-through rate on those items? Those are the key points that I've been harping on, where people are not transparent about when they talk about, I list 20 items a day and I sell 20 items a day. You follow what I'm saying?
I don't even know how they could do that though.
You can if you have a high quantity.
No, I'm saying I don't know what more information they could give you that would please you there. Like we have, so back at the beginning of last year, we bought a ton of new Playmobil from Playmobil. We bought it from Playmobil USA. And it was like the one thing that we bought a bunch of was this, it's some kind of like Christmas house thing. And we bought them and put them up for sale. And we may have sold one of them throughout the year. But then at Christmas, we sold every single one of them in a 2-week period. And it's like, if I would have listed them in that 2-week period, I would have told you, you list 10 things a day, you're going to sell 10 things a day.
That's my point. That's my point.
Like, but that's what I'm saying is there's just incomplete information. You just don't have all the information.
See, that's my whole point right there. Like you can't have a teaching video and then go out there.
But here's the thing, dude.
And that's all you say.
But here's the thing. I could have, let's say that I held them back and did not list them and listed them like in November, like the 3rd week of November. I could have made a video saying we listed these and we sold them. And from the perspective, I would be 100% telling you the truth and being completely 100% honest about everything that I said. That wouldn't mean I was being dishonest or not being transparent.
You're not understanding.
Also, but I understand what you're saying, but I wouldn't have had all the data, from the rest of the year to say anything different. So.
And I don't think it's a bad message to say listing every day will help your eBay store grow and you will make more sales.
It'll do better than not.
I don't think that's the wrong message. I think that's true. I think if you list every day, you're going to see more consistent sales. But it's because you're adding new chances. You're putting more lines in the water. If you go fishing and you could put one hook in the water or 50 hooks in the water, you're going to catch more fish with 50 hooks. But that doesn't mean that it's because they're rewarding you for activity. There's a difference in the statement. So does listing every day help? Sure. Does listing 800 items one day and taking a week off help? Still helps.
Right. Right. I mean, it's just, I understand what you guys are saying. That's why I was wanting to know, do you think it's important to list every day? Because you always heard in the past, hey, you list 10, 15 items a day, you sell 10, 15 items a day.
Well,
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true until you reach a certain level in your store as far as quantity of items, or you're listing things that sell the next day. You got that really, really high sell-through rate. Because I just don't think you can. Corey, you guys, for example, I'm going to use your store for example. Okay, yes, and this has a factor in it also. But I want to use this for an example. You guys list $500, at least a minimum of $500 a day. Is that still correct? Okay. Yeah. All right. So the logic behind that is, okay, if I can list the minimum of $500 in sales a day, my logic is I'll make $500 of sales a day. That's the logic.
No, we know that's not factually true on eBay. We have the numbers to support that.
Right.
We
know
that we're going to make between 300 and 400 in sales a day if we consistently throughout the year list at least $500 a day. We do it for a consistent paycheck, and we have the data to back that up.
So
and it works out over the average of the 90-day period.
If you were to list just 20 items a day, we'll just cut it off at 20 items a day. How big is your store right now?
I don't know. It's like 3,200 or something on the main store.
Okay, 3,200. If you were to list 20 items a day, and you're telling people we're selling 10 to 15 items a day, and that's all you're telling them, there are some folks out there, maybe I'm just a gullible one, I don't know, but I believe that there's folks out there that's been like, and don't know that you have a 3,200 item store that doesn't understand.
That's not my
you guys are different though. I see it's hard to use you for example because you guys have high sell-through rate items. So your guys are going to sell a bigger quantity of stuff.
That's not true either. That's not true. We have a lot of low sell-through rate items.
You understand what I'm saying, though? I mean, if you don't,
but I don't know.
It goes back to the fact that they don't owe that to you. Like they don't have to break down everything in their numbers and also say we had egg salad for lunch, so we had a little extra boost for the afternoon. Like they don't owe you every detail of that. It's up to you to take from the content what you can. And decipher what's working for you and what's not. Like they're just putting out free content,
right?
If they tell you we list 10 items a day and sell 10 items a day,
and that's
all that. Do they tell you that, or if they're telling you? I mean, then they're probably lying if they list 20 items a day and sell 10.
Look, they list 10 items a day. They say, or 20 items a day. They sell 15 items a day. They run the numbers on the cost of items on what they pay for the items. That's it. They don't tell you that there's other information there that a new reseller would watch this big YouTuber reseller and be like,
okay,
well,
all right,
I see that. And
I think I'm understanding.
They don't know that they have either A, they don't know that their items are a high sell-through rate, or B, they have a high quantity of items in their store to even out that number.
I see where the disconnect is for you. You
explain it to me.
I feel like they've probably answered that question, like in a live or somewhere else. Somebody's probably asked them, how many items did you have in your store before you started selling 10 to 12 items a day? And they probably said, like, when we reached 3,000 items in our store, we started selling that. But on a day-to-day basis, they're like, this is what we do and this is what we sell. And I don't know. You're feeling like they should go, we have 32,000 items in our store, and as of right now, we list 20 things a day and we sell 15 a day.
Why not? That's being transparent. That's letting a new eBay seller.
But see, I don't think they're not being transparent by not saying that every single time you're sharing that. I think if you watch them long enough, you probably, like James Helferstay, if you watch him long enough, you know he's got a store with like 60 to 100,000 items or whatever it is.
You don't have to watch James but one show and figure out that he's got,
But but he doesn't say that every time.
I mean, to put it in context for us, we do 2 videos a week now, and have done at least 1 video a week for 4 years. And we talk about what sold and how we list 500 a day, and we sell, $300 to $400 a day on average over the 90-day periods. And we talk about that stuff quite a bit, but we don't mention how big our store is very often. We also don't mention the 19 other variables that got us there in every video. They've been said throughout the videos.
Yeah. So
I feel like
leaving it out on purpose.
But people that's been following you know that information.
I feel like you need to be transparent on every video and share that information, you clown.
I do.
I'll quit making videos first. Like you can't give every detail in every video.
Well, not every detail, but I mean,
And that's why you and Teresa are clowns.
Well, it is.
You just running a circus, putting on the makeup, driving around in the little clown car
The problem is,
with all your little clown buddies.
if we broke that down in every video, no one would watch.
No, I get that, Corey, but when you never said that in your videos, when you never put that out in your videos, and you refuse to answer questions that has to do with that topic, then you're not being transparent. I've asked questions to this person and been told we don't give out that information. Why not? You know, that makes no sense. That's a valuable information if you're teaching someone something. Because a new reseller can't sit there and watch your videos and be like, oh, yeah, they're selling 20 to 15 items a day. I can do that. Let me go buy 20 to 15 items. And then when they sit there for 6 months, they're like, well, they're doing it for 20 to 15 items a day. Why? And then you figure out later why it's not selling.
I would say that new reseller got exactly what they paid for from that content. I don't know a better way to explain it. They got exactly what they paid for. They could have watched channel B, C, and D and pieced it together. That's it. Just to be completely clear, that's why there are courses. People take all those little details and they put them together in a blueprint and they sell you the course, because there is no channel that gives you every detail in all the videos. They're just not out there. You got to piece them together. So when you're watching free content, you're getting exactly what you pay for.
I don't watch that channel anymore, Lisa. There's 2 or 3 of them I don't watch anymore because of it. You know, I understand what you're saying, Corey, but I sometimes I feel like, I mean, I'm not.
You're a Democrat.
I'm not in that position. I'm speaking for the reseller that just started yesterday. You know, that's what I'm talking about.
I think
Hey,
you're a Democrat.
hey, Josh, what's up, buddy? Yeah, you good? Oh, you guys doing clean storage unit? Oh, cool. Hey, I want to ask you some information. You got some time for me? No, you don't have to put the stuff down. No. You don't have to put it down. I'll call you later. I wanted to ask you some information about some stuff, and I want to know if you want to come on my new podcast.
Also,
I'll give you the date. All right, bye.
Hey, Leroy. Wait, don't hang up. I was going to get you. I was going to get you asked where they put their spare key.
Leroy, no, I'm not talking about Josh.
You don't know who I was talking to?
Yeah, you was talking to Josh. Josh is on a whole nother level than all 4 of us. He don't even do eBay. He don't even do eBay anymore.
Name one category he's number 1 in on eBay.
Right?
One, because he doesn't sell on eBay anymore.
Yeah, he's in a different game than we are.
Yeah, completely different game.
Levels.
When he's the number 1 seller in soap on eBay, you get back with me.
He's the number 1 seller in soap and whatnot, I bet.
Now Dave's coming for him.
Is he?
Yeah, Dave's doing soap now.
Oh, really? Wow. Dave gets his hands in a whole bunch of stuff. He's doing
he's got the squirrels going now. He's doing 3D printing and soap. And
yes, that's it. 3D printing.
That's where Dave and Corey are a little like. They need that stimulation of new things.
Yep. It's hard not to chase that shiny rock sometimes.
Yeah.
Behind the bubble wrap. Hello, how are you today? Thanks for coming by. Yes, we are back.
Well, I've got a video to go edit. Did we have? I thought we had good conversations today. A lot of 4 of them. Yeah,
I think we did good. I think we did. I think we accomplished what we talked about last night.
Yep, this was better. I like this better.
Yeah.
So we'll figure out who we're going to pick on next week. Yeah. I don't know. Let's go after shed flips. We'll go after
Lonnie and Candace.
Oh, by the way, I do want to comment that, Kevin and Lonnie addressed their thing at the beginning. I thought Lonnie it was nice to see adults having an adult conversation and just being honest, and the humility that Lonnie showed, I thought was admirable.
I think
y'all gonna have me go watch Trash the Cat now.
I think that's why Lonnie's one of my favorite people.
Yeah,
I like Lonnie and Candace. We watch them all.
Whether you like him or not, you'd have to be honest. That was pretty admirable to show that kind of humor.
It was very.
You want to talk about somebody being transparent about the store, Lonnie and Candace, man? We can't get no more transparent.
Yeah, they got it.
They didn't share a guy's name.
What?
I think they're gatekeeping. They haven't told you guy's name.
They don't share a guy's name.
His name is Guy. Do y'all not? Y'all don't get that?
Yeah, that came from We Got a Guy. All right. I didn't mean to extend the conversation.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you back next Tuesday. These guys will be back on the barn on Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you guys like this is what we're going to be doing going forward.
Oh, so I don't have to. I didn't like it, so I can leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. All right.
You only have to be here for a 5-minute conversation, Leroy. So
Oh,
just
that's
as long as you got that one conversation for 5 minutes to keep Chris busy.
Leroy's our sign language interpreter in the bottom corner.
That was,
Yeah, we're going to have you, Leroy, for signing.
tell Teresa I said hello, and everybody have a good day. See ya.
Happy New Year to you, Leroy.